All right, good afternoon. As you will have seen, the Secretary General arrived in Kabul earlier today, where he met with displaced men and women from the Kapisa province who are now living in settlements on the outskirts of the Afghan capital. They told him that security was their prerequisite for their return to their home provinces, and that education, including for women and girls from primary to vocational training, was critical for supporting themselves and their families. They also stressed the need for medical care. The Secretary General expressed his compassion and solidarity and assured them of his personal and the UN's full commitment to work with the government and the people of Afghanistan to address their needs and build a sustainable and prosperous future for them. The Secretary General also held bilateral meetings with President Ashraf Ghani and the Chief Executive Officer of Afghanistan, Abdullah Abdullah. He also met with the UN staff working in the mission. In a press conference held a short while ago, the Secretary General stressed that his visit is essentially a visit of solidarity with the people of Afghanistan during the holy month of Ramadan, something he noted he did every year when he served as High Commissioner for Refugees. He recalled the recent terrorist attacks and offered condolences to the families of the victims. The full transcript of his press conference is being worked on and will be made available to you very soon. And for this visit to Afghanistan, the Secretary General observed a Ramadan fast in solidarity with Muslims around the world and called for peace and compassion. He's now on his way back to New York. And during his visit to Central Asia, the Secretary General has been following the crisis in the Gulf very closely. Being convinced of the importance of a regional solution, the Secretary General spoke today on the phone with the Deputy Prime Minister of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Sabah, following a number of other contacts to express his full support for Kuwait's efforts to de-escalate tensions and to promote effective dialogue. And today, the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Zeid Ra'ad Al-Hussein, issued a statement in which he said he was alarmed about the possible impact on many people's human rights on the situation in the Gulf. And that statement, I think, was emailed to you all. And on the 10th anniversary of the Security Council's decision to deploy an African Union UN hybrid mission in Darfur, the Assistant Secretary General for Peacekeeping Operation, El-Hassim Wan, briefed the Council on the joint recommendations of the Secretary General and the Chairperson of the African Union Commission on the reconfiguration of the mission in Darfur. He said that over the last 3 years, the conflict has been markedly changed following a successful military campaign by the government. The number of intercommunal security incidents has decreased and progress has been made on the political front. Yet, as illustrated by a population of internally displaced people of 2.7 million, a number of crucial grievances at the origin of the conflict and key issues related in its aftermath still need to be addressed. Mr. Wane said that the joint report therefore proposed a two-pronged approach combining peace building and peacekeeping tasks. Most parts of Darfur require a more peace-building oriented approach, while the Jebel Mara and its vicinity, the mission's efforts would focus on traditional peacekeeping tasks. This concept would enable the mission to reduce its troop ceiling down by 44% and the police ceiling by 30%. And at 3 o'clock this afternoon, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, will brief an informal meeting of the General Assembly on the Secretary General's latest report on Haiti and cholera, and that report has been out as a public document for a bit. This morning she spoke at an event on the rule of law and said that the essence of the Sustainable Development Goal 16 and its specific target 16.3 to promote the rule of law and ensure equal access to justice for all is not only a self-evident objective, but it is catalytic to all the goals. She said that it is clear that the rule of law provides a foundation for preventing conflict, fostering peace, and advancing sustainable development. But establishing the rule of law does not happen overnight. Her remarks are online. The Security Council will send a mission to Haiti from the 22nd to the 24th of June. Council members are expected to meet with the President, the Prime Minister, and other government officials, the leadership of the UN mission, the UN country team, and the UN police presence, and a range of civil society actors. The mission intends to reaffirm the support of the Security Council to the government and people of Haiti, to strengthen their country and institutions in order to contribute to the stability and development of the country. The Council members will also conduct a review of the implementation of Resolution 2350, which, as you know, concerns the closure of the UN Stabilization Mission in Haiti, MINUSTA, and the smooth transition to the new mission, the UN Mission for Justice and Support. And our friends of the World Food Program tell us they've delivered food to displaced people in 7 hard-to-reach areas in Raqqa and Deir ez-Zor in northern Syria, where regular deliveries of humanitarian assistance have been suspended for more than 3 years due to conflict and besiegement. This week, 16 trucks loaded with 1 month's supplies of WFP food delivered relief to 80,000 displaced people who've arrived in parts of Raqqa, Deir ez-Zor, and Al-Hasake. WFP also delivered a 1-month supply of specialized nutrition supplements for treatments and prevention of malnutrition to about 5,000 people. Meanwhile, heavy clashes continued in Raqqa City, with Syrian Democratic Forces reportedly advancing from both the western and eastern side of the city. As fighting and military operation continues, the UN continues to be deeply concerned for the safety and protection of tens of thousands of civilians trapped into the city. And WFP also is scaling up its emergency operations to help those most urgently in need of help in Yemen, home to one of the world's worst hunger crises. The country is on the brink of famine, with more than 17 million people, or 2/3 of the population, not knowing where their next meal will come from. This month, WFP aims to reach 6.8 million people with food. The agency stresses that resources are urgently needed, especially given the outbreak of cholera. And the UN Humanitarian Coordinator for the Occupied Palestinian Territory, Robert Piper, warned today about the disastrous consequences of further reduction in the electricity supply to the Gaza Strip on the living conditions of 2 million Palestinians who live in the Strip. He called upon the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, and Israel to put welfare of Gaza's residents first and to take the necessary measures to avoid further suffering. The UN has already appealed to the international community to support its limited humanitarian assistance efforts to prevent the collapse of life-saving health, water, and sanitation municipal services in Gaza. And the amount of money that migrants send to their families in developing countries have risen to 51% over the past decade, according to a new report released by the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, the report being released today. This is far greater than the 28% increase in migration of these countries. Sending money home, contributing to the SDGs one family at a time, is the first ever study of a 10-year trend in migration and remittance flows over the period of 2007 and 16. While the report shows there have been increases in sending patterns to almost all regions of the world, the sharp rise in the past decade is in large due to Asia, which has witnessed an 87% increase in remittances. More than 200 million migrants workers are now in supporting estimated 800 million family members globally. It's projected that in 2017, 1 in 7 people in the world will be involved in either sending or receiving more than $450 billion in remittances. And the head of IFAD, Gilbert Hongbo, will be our guest at the briefing tomorrow. And in a short while, I will be joined by Aïssatou Mindadou, the special representative and head of the UN operation in Côte d'Ivoire. She'll brief you on the situation in that country. And my colleagues in DPI have asked me to flag that the new copy of Basic Facts about the UN, the 42nd edition, is now out and available in the UN bookshop and available online. And it has for the first time a section on the 2030 SDGs and the 17 goals. And lastly, we thank Greece and Uganda for paying their regular budget dues in full, which brings us up to close enough. At least you try. 107. If you have a question, you may ask it or you may yield. Ben, please do.
In fact, I was prepared to ask about this electricity issue in Gaza, but now since you read this statement from Mr. Piper. My question is about these visits of the Security Council to conflict area. They're going to Haiti. Every president of the Security Council, I ask him, why you don't take a mission to Gaza, and no answer. You know the answer. But my question, why the SG himself does not take that step and go see the situation